Welcome to bonus episode number 3, Construction Nation. This is Sue Dyer, your host for Construction Dream Team, where I interview industry leaders and experts so you can learn how to build your construction dream team. Based on OPE, other people's experiences, the shortest way to success is to learn from others who have been there and done that. Did you know that you could actually get Siri now to have you subscribe and listen to Construction Dream Team? It's true. If you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button or say, "Hey Siri," and say, "Please subscribe to Construction Dream Team," and Siri will do so. Or you can say, "Play Construction Dream Team," and it will play. A great new way and easy way to keep up with what's happening on Construction Dream Team. Today's masterclass is called What Gets Measured Improves. I thought this was an important one to talk about because I find far too often we are surprised by things that happen on our projects when if we employed a simple tool called a construction scorecard, we wouldn't be surprised. It would be right there in front of us. So let me share with you a little bit about what we've learned. How would you like to be able to predict the level of success or failure you're going to have with your projects? Well, it really seems like we're pretty close to being able to do that. We did some research and we found that teams that measure their progress, make adjustments, and hold one another accountable to live up to those commitments tend to improve over time. The study was based on our analysis of 13 different projects that utilized the construction scorecard over a 2-year period. And there was an array of projects that were represented in this study. Some of them were internal initiatives. There was vertical, horizontal, marine, seismic, rail, environmental, really a whole array of different types of projects that ranged in size from 100,000 to 142 million. So a lot of our projects kind of fall in that size if you really look at the number of projects that have been out there. There were a total of 113 monthly scorecards that we analyzed. Each month, the team members were emailed the scorecard based on their goals, objectives, and commitments that they made at their partnering session. The completed scorecards, this includes scores and comments, were sent to us, the neutral consultant, who we make sure we assure anonymity. We never tell anybody who said what at all. We take all of these results that come back and we crunch the numbers and normalize them and put them into a report that gets sent back out to the team for them to use to steer. Items in the scorecard are rated on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being excellent and 1 being poor. The study revealed the following. Scores improved for 12 of the 13 projects over the life of the project. Only one project, which was still underway, went down, and it went from 3.99 to 3.80. And this was after they moved from a monthly to a quarterly scorecard. Overall project scores improved by as much as 1.13 points, or 28% over the life of the project. The average improvement was approximately a half point, which was 0.54, which equals 14%. 5 of the 13 projects were having significant problems when the construction scorecard was implemented. 4 of these 5 projects improved so significantly that they received recognition and industry awards. Improvements were 1.13 points, 1.08 points, and plus 0.36, and plus 0.40 points. Individual items or issues measured increased as much as 1.7 points. That was from a 2.7, which is showing negative momentum, to 4.3 points, which is really doing well. And this was over the life of the project. We also found that there is a halo effect after each partnering session. And when the team comes together and aligns, then all of a sudden the score significantly improved. And as the issues were being clarified and resolved by the team, the amount of drag the team had really reduced, and so the team could really start to flourish. It's also interesting to note that it seems that the scores the team provide accurately and truly depict what's going on within the project. The Woodrow Wilson study was of many projects that did a very intensive study on a scorecard. They found that there is almost a direct correlation between what was actually going on during the project and what the team said was going on in the project within their scores, and their comments was almost perfect. Very, very high correlation. So the collective wisdom of the team comes forth and creates this snapshot of what the project status is at the time you're doing the scorecard. Now, we have done scorecards for hundreds and hundreds of projects. And over time, we began to see that patterns have emerged. And the scores kind of give you an insight as to maybe what you need to be doing or what is actually going to happen on your project. These patterns have been so consistent that they really do offer insight into an anticipated final outcome for your project team. And the leaders can look at the level of effort that will be needed to resolve the underlying issues or to gain the momentum that is really needed for the project to be successful. So let me just share a couple things that we've seen, some of these scores. So projects that came in with scores of 1.0 to 1.9, they came in significantly late, over budget. These projects crashed and burned, and you could see it all along the way. They needed remedial action to turn themselves around. And if you have scores like this and you do nothing, you can pretty well predict that you're going to crash and burn. Projects that had scores that were 2.0 to 2.9 came in behind schedule and over budget. They had some fundamental problems and they need immediate action. If you see this, you need to act. It's like seeing smoke and you know there's some fire going on there. You've got to take action before the project gets into negative momentum. When you have scores that are 3.0 to 3.5, these projects came in behind schedule and over budget. There's something causing drag on the project that's just not quite getting the momentum, the liftoff that's needed for the project team to get into the flow and to make the project successful. Project teams that have a score of 3.5 to 4.0 came in on time and on budget and often did some pretty spectacular things along the way. But when you have a score of 4.0 to 4.5, you are zooming ahead. You're going to probably be ahead of schedule or ahead of budget. Probably not both, but if you have 4.5 and above, you're probably ahead of schedule and under budget. And we've looked at a lot of these scores over the years, and you can even look at an individual scorecard on any given month and look and see where are your scores telling you you are. Where are you and what do you need to do? It gives you a chance to take action before things are set in stone. If you don't take action after a few times of seeing the same scores, now you've got a pattern. Patterns are much harder to overcome. So some teams were more adept, of course, at using the construction scorecard to manage their project results. Here are some of the lessons that have been learned that can help projects improve their results. Teams that met to review the scorecard report each month made more significant improvements. Adjusting the scorecard as project issues change assures that you are measuring those things most important for the project's success. Executive leaders who meet together on a regular basis to discuss the scorecard results helped to assure that the team had the resources needed to succeed and help overcome barriers that were outside of the control of the team leaders. Project owners saw patterns by watching the scorecard on several projects, thus identifying internal issues where they could prevent the projects from being successful. They could take action. Projects that score 4.5 and above can reduce the frequency of their scorecard to bi-monthly without damaging their results. Projects that reduced frequency from monthly to quarterly without having a 4.5 or higher score went down in points or never made much improvement over the life of the project. Having the neutral outside consultant collect the data and distribute the results creates a safe environment for project members to tell the truth and allows teams to deal with core issues. It's funny because we tried doing it in internal with one of the owners who wanted to do his own scorecard, and they couldn't get anybody to fill it out. I mean, it just really, the neutral and having it be anonymous helps you to get feedback. The best results were seen when projects and senior management required members to participate in the program. So certainly you don't get good scores if everybody isn't actually giving you their input. So I shared with you our lessons learned. I would like to give you 5 tips to help you with your projects. Make a scorecard a requirement. A project scorecard must be a requirement, and the team must feel that it's valued by its leaders and valuable to them in order for them to take the time to fill it out and tell you the truth. And of course, we want their comments, because in the comments, you really know what the scores mean. It is the leader that can and must make this happen. If you take the scorecard seriously and you really use it as a valuable tool and you see it as a valuable tool, so will your team members. If you ignore it and don't use it, then they will too. And we hear this all the time. Nobody's filling out the scorecard. But it really just has to do with how the leader sees it and that they are using it as one of their tools in the toolbox for their project. Putting the requirement into your project documents will help ensure everyone knows that you're serious. Having senior management remind everyone that they want 100% participation in this month's scorecard can be a very important part of your project success. This will get people to complete the scorecard. Monitoring and acknowledging those who are completing the scorecard will also reinforce its value. Monitoring who is not completing the scorecard will help ensure that they complete it next time. We see this all the time. Someone sends an email out, particularly a senior level or a project manager. We want to get 100%, and all of a sudden we get a lot of people completing it. Tip number 2, create an atmosphere of trust. Your project really is built on trust. And our partnering processes that are out there, or alignment processes, whatever we call them, collaboration processes, are designed to develop a culture of trust and that collaboration, that atmosphere that fosters open, honest communication. And this allows the scorecard to reflect good, the bad, and the ugly. Whatever occurs on your project should be reflected in your scorecard. And from the research, it absolutely is. We see it all the time. The scorecards are a very true depiction of what's actually happening on the project at any given time. And so it's important to get them filled out. Trust happens when we are certain that we will be fair, that we will resolve issues before they grow into problems or disputes. To have the most meaningful partnering or scorecard program takes a commitment. And of course, your actions show commitment, just like with your kids, right? They see how you act, and that's how they act. So true on projects as well. Also, just remember that trust can be built over time. It can be rebuilt as well. It takes effort. But it's highly predictable that your Expectations will define your relationships. So check yourself to make sure that you're not defensive, protective, hostile towards your teammates. You will be defining the atmosphere, and that atmosphere will heavily influence your results. Tip number 3, understand the tool. The construction scorecard is a snapshot of time of what's occurring on your project, and it allows you to measure how you're doing at following through with the commitments that the team made to one another and to achieving the project goals that they have committed to. Orienting your team members on the construction scorecard might be kind of important, especially if they're not used to it, so they can help see how they can use it to overcome barriers and to communicate and to be accountable to one another, not with blame, but with information, so that you can dive in and get things resolved. Tip number 4, evaluate your results. Your scorecard is emailed to the entire team every single month once it's all completed. But you really have to take the time to look at it and see, what do these scores mean? What are they telling me? This can easily be done if you just bring it to one of your regular weekly project meetings and just talk about it. Look at the scores. If you're using the OrgMetrics construction scorecard, we include a project momentum score. This score is based on an algorithm that we've created that aggregates all of the scores across all of the measurements to show you whether or not you have a positive momentum and how much, or whether or not you have negative momentum and how much. This one number can give you a great way to predict your future. Because remember, it's momentum. Momentum has that thrust forward. It's telling you where you're going. Look at any scores where you have a 1 or a 2 as an indicator of negative or potential negative momentum. These are where the team is feeling frustrated or there's issues that are emerging. Focusing on these areas will help you a great deal to know where you need to put your resources, time, and energy. Look at the scores where there's a 3. These are okay, and with a little focus, you might be able to push them up to a 4 or maybe even better. This is where you have the opportunity to really grow positive momentum dramatically. Tip number 5, make course corrections. If you're using the construction scorecard with the momentum score, then you can easily see where your level of momentum lies. It's between -2 and +2. As I said, this is a great predictor of what is going to happen before it has happened. But you're not trapped because the future hasn't yet happened. So you have time to make course corrections. Establishing and using an issue resolution ladder can be very helpful so that issues are not put off and that you can get a decision when it's needed. And of course, we need a decision so that the team can implement and move on. So much of the frustration that I see and hear about is really about not being able to get a decision. Set deadlines and keep them. This will create trust and grow your predictability. It's not the issues that predict your success or failure. It's how the team deals with the issues. Correct your course so that the team stays together and gains positive momentum, and that will predict your overall project success. So I like to quote Woody Allen here, who said, "We are all interested in the future because that is where we're all going to spend our lives." Think about using a construction scorecard to allow you to predict how you and your project team will be spending your time. Will it be celebrating the building of great things or fighting over project disputes because things didn't turn out as you had hoped they would? Well, Construction Nation, I hope you enjoyed this masterclass I've had many inquiries about how to use a construction scorecard, and I hope that this will be useful to many projects and many project teams. But remember, dream teams don't just happen, they're built one step at a time. That's why we need good tools. Why not send out this episode to your entire team so they can help you? The more people you have helping, the faster you can build your construction dream team. You can't have your dream until you build your team. So please head on over to constructiondreamteam.com or use your Siri and just say, subscribe to Construction Dream Team. I hope that you will remember that Construction Dream Team drops every Monday at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please join me next week when I will interview an industry leader or expert so you can learn how to create your construction dream team. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will catch you next time.